Helen Van Wyck, who was one of the original artist teachers to use mass media for teaching painting, used to say that if you know what you're doing, you can paint with a broom. Well, I don't know about a broom, but let me show you how you might unlock the potential of just a plain flat brush. There are many shapes available of artist brushes, but there are only 4 that are really traditional shapes, and those are the bright, the flat, the filbert, and the round. Well, if you included the fan, that might be, but I don't think it's that much of a traditional shape. Each of these brushes is capable of doing a lot more than just pushing paint. And so I would like to show you just 6 ways that you can unlock the potential of this bristle brush, and let's go. So first of all, we will use it just to apply paint, just to get something to work with here. So I'm just going to load the brush, and I'm just going to use these traditional strokes of just working back and forth. Everybody knows that this is what a bristle brush can do, especially a bristle brush flat. So I'll just do that because I need some paint here to show you the other things that the bristle brush can do. And I need to rinse the brush and get it ready for the next color. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to try to make a painting, but I'm just going to put something here that might suggest an image so that you can then see this potential I'm talking about. So let's just say that we'll pretend that there's sky back here. Just pretend it. I'm not taking it really serious that there's sky back there, but let's just pretend there's sky back here, like that. And we can let that be a hill, a grassy hill of some sort. Now let's look at how we might use the flat brush to communicate that. If we have 2 colors placed on the canvas side by side of different values, and we need one color moved into the other, one thing that you can do is to approach the canvas with a clean, dry, I should say, unloaded brush. Move into the wet paint, the dark wet paint, or you could do it either way. It could be dark to light or light to dark. You move into the wet paint, you attack, you just push, you push, you push, you push, you push, you push, and you let it flip. And there you have grasses. Go anywhere into that wet paint. Do it one more time. Push, 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 and just pull back. Don't give it an intentional flip like that, or else it deforms the shape. You just push, push, pull back, and it makes the feeling of grasses. If you give a very subtle movement to that, you see, then you can have the feeling of grasses of various lengths. So you might call that the attack and flip stroke, and it's called lots of other things. But remember, the key to it is to push and then pull back slightly. Push and as you're pushing, allow the bristles to bend towards the bottom like that. Then pull back, and as you pull back, just pull back like this, you'll see that it flips up and causes little grass strokes. So you can play with that for a while, and you can get variations on how that works. Then another thing that you can do with the flat brush is you can use it in various ways to drag one color into another. Now here we flip the color in. Let me show you what happens if we want to drag a color in. So suppose I want to suppose I've seen all this green, dark green down here, and I want to drag just want to drag a lighter color into there without mixing it. Well, I'll load the brush really good. I'm going to load it with some lighter green, pull some orange, this doesn't matter what orange, this yellow orange into it, and then what I can do there, load the back of it really good, and what I can do there is turn the brush in whatever direction I want that motion made. So suppose I want to show some maybe some earth showing through there. I'm going to add a little bit of the red violet. Want some earth showing through there. So I'm just going to kind of push on the edge of the brush, and I'm just going to kind of drag it right through that color like that. Then I kind of drag it right through. We can turn it this way and kind of drag it right through that color. So that's different, a little bit different from scumble, in that you use the side of the brush to do the dragging, or you could use the belly of the brush to do the dragging too. But the difference between this and the scumble is that this mixes the paint actually with the paint underneath it. So you might call that just dragging one color into the other, and then also dragging it on its side. Now, dragging it on its side doesn't have to be used just for pulling one color on another. Let's suppose we have, let's get some darker color in here, and let's say we have, something sticking up there. What could it be? Now, I want to load the side of the brush like this. Now I'm going to hold the brush on its end like this and watch. I just want to touch it and just pull it up like that. We could do that several times. Maybe we have some kind of a dead tree growing there or something. So just load the. I always like to load the whole thing so that the bristles stick together, and then come back and roll the brush or push it and load it into the very side of it. Then it's important that you hold it by its end as far out as you can be there, so that you kind of let it swing like this, and you sort of just let it swing and pull it up like that, just like that. And you can use that. You can use that in forming different kinds of images. You have to use your imagination as to how you use these various brush maneuvers for forming images. Now, another way you can use it is by using a chisel tip. And that is, again, once again, I'll load just with a random color of any kind. All right, we want here to just fill the brush with paint. Get lots and lots of paint in the brush and get it really, really good and loaded. And then we want to pull the paint like this against the palette so that it forms a chisel tip like that. Then we can, once again, to hold it on the end like this gives you better maneuverability. You don't get a whole lot of maneuverability when you're holding up like this. So, and I want to add right here in using all brushes, the way you hold the brush is going to determine what happens here. So if you want to really get spontaneity, or in some cases more control of the brush, you hold it on its tip like this. So hold it like this. Now, you want the brush to drag. Well, there are two things to chisel. One is just a chisel, just a chiseled edge like that. Now that's kind of obvious, right? That's kind of obvious to have an edge like that a brush can make. But then the other is to hold the brush so that the tip, that chisel tip, is going to make a very fine line. There you go, right there. You can see that this is actually a number 8 bristle flat, but this fine line can look as thin as maybe a rigger line. So if you really practice that one, you can get control and make a very fine line. Yeah. Then, in our previous quick tip, I taught you scumble, but since scumble is one of the things that works so well with the bristle brush, I'm going to show you that too, just briefly, and that simply is laying one color on top of the other, where you load the belly of the brush. In this case, I'm going to load the belly of the brush with some lighter paint, where you load the belly of the brush like this, like that, and you simply allow the color, holding the brush parallel to the canvas, you simply allow the color to scoot over on top of the color underneath it. Well, that sort of doesn't make sense with the imagery, but it shows you the technique. And then another thing that you can do with the brush, which is one of my favorite things to do, is in forming foliage especially, is you can roll it. Now, I don't have really anything here that I'm going to kind of, there we go. I'm just going to kind of show you over here what I mean by that. When you load the brush on both sides like this, and as you're moving it across the canvas, you simply roll it like this. And you see when you roll it like that, you know, like that? When you roll it as you're moving it, you can create some marvelous little foliage effects. Just roll it, sometimes rolling it back and forth like this. You see what I'm doing there? You see those marks? Or just giving it a roll like this, where you roll it in your fingers several times. Just create a roll in your fingers like that. So especially for the edges of foliage, a lot of times the rolling of the flat brush can be the best way to do that. And I think if you practice with that, practice with using the rolling stroke, roll it on its tip, roll it on its belly. Get down here and show you some things we could do with rolling it on its belly. Look at that. I can only imagine what you could do with that. So if you practice each of these techniques, that's not all the flat brush can do, but those are some things that it can do to really unlock potential in your painting. And there's your quick tip.